I graduated from college and I got a year in the working world where I was working as a warehouse manager in a plumbing field. And I'm like, what am I doing? I went to an arena football game. I'm like, those guys are living their dream right now, having the time of their life. And you're not making it rich in the arena football league. You're
It's
playing.
fun though.
Oh,
It looks
time.
like the funnest football
Great
ever.
time. Yeah. Well, everyone asked me why I played so long.
Yeah.
And well, honestly, therapy's expensive.
Yeah.
So, but for me, you know, football is like a drug,
Yeah.
especially towards the end. Like I got a high off it.
Yeah.
And even, you know, when I'm in my mid 30s, playing against guys that are just out the NFL or guys in their mid or early 20s, and I wake up the morning after a game and I can't move, I feel alive. Like,
Yeah.
And I always love that. I miss it now,
Yeah.
but not with all the pains I have.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, thank you. It's Coach Rahn, right?
yes.
Perfect. I didn't know if I was pronouncing that correct. But you've taken over the College of Dupage football program the last 2 years. Were the first 2 years being head coach and national champs back-to-back. So really wanted to get you on. I know that the goal is to kind of get the College of Dupage football program a little more well-known in the community. But just first, just getting into obviously having so many different kind of personalities coming into the program, different backgrounds. You know, we discussed a little bit of what it looks like. You know, you have people that maybe didn't get drafted for D1, people that were playing at D1 schools, or people that weren't really sure if D1 was something that they wanted to pursue. How do you manage all of the different personalities, and how do you get everyone on the same page, or what did you do differently coming in where you were able to lead them to a national championship your first and second year in?
So pretty loaded question. I guess going into it, there's 3 types of kids that junior college football caters to. You get the kids that were at a 4-year institution, and typically at this level, it's somebody who's on scholarship at a Division I program, lost their scholarship for usually not a good reason, and have to go to junior college and earn their associate's degree, and then they can go back to the 4-year level, take a scholarship. The second is somebody that has some offers but don't have the grades to take it. That's an academic non-qualifier. So that person's going to have to get his associate's degree, and then when he gets recruited out, they take his 2-year degree for admissions as opposed to his high school stuff. And then you have academic qualifiers, so somebody did well academically, but just don't have the offers at a level they feel and we feel that they can play at. Those kids, as long as they maintain 12 credits at a 2.5 GPA, they can leave whenever they get a scholarship offer. So the majority of junior colleges across the country, they deal with primarily category 1 and 2. So they get the bounce backs, the guys that caused some trouble at previous schools, that made some mistakes, and then they get guys that fell short academically. A lot of them were 3, 4, 5 stars in high school. We have a lot of kids out of Category 2 in my program, but we have the largest influx in the country of Category 3. So we have the most amount of kids that did well academically, just we feel that in a year they could play at a higher level than they're being recruited at. We do take the bounce backs, but we take special circumstance bounce backs. So we'll take a guy at a lower level college that wants to roll the dice and see if he can earn a Division I scholarship. When we take a Division I kid, we take a kid that was a preferred walk-on, that didn't have a scholarship, that wants to earn one. Because of that right there, we get kids that choose to come to our program and aren't coming to our program by default. So on paper, the teams that we're beating, we shouldn't beat them on paper. Mm-hmm. We're playing against teams that have 5 4-star kids, guys that were at Nebraska, LSU, Texas Tech, all over the country, and we're playing against those kids, and we're loaded with guys that basically were no names out of high school. And because of that, we're beating these guys because our kids are coming here for a purpose. It's not an individualistic thing like the most teams we play. They come here and they understand that the more they play together, the more opportunities comes for the entire team. Because of that, so after my first year, after we won the national championship, we sent 38 guys out on scholarship. Now, the dream is Division I scholarships. That's why they all come to my program. But for me, the goal is getting them free education when they leave. So if I get a kid that comes into my program that has, you know, maybe a $5,000 scholarship to a $45,000 a year school, if he comes to my program and he leaves with college paid for at an NAIA program, that's still a win in my book. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to get them free education here. And so because of that, we're having great numbers with it. And so to answer your question, it's because our guys are here for each other. They're not here for themselves. and they understand that playing together, we can beat the guys that on paper we're not supposed to beat.
Yeah.
We're better athletes, just as good as athletes, just as good as football players. We just didn't have the notoriety of a lot of the guys that we're playing against. And honestly, playing against those guys is what gets a lot of our guys noticed also.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. And then for your program, I know we've been here for almost 2 years now. So College of Dupage, and this is the first I'm hearing that you guys were national champs, which is crazy because it's 5 minutes down the road. Is that, do you think that's like a funding issue for the program? Is it not enough people in the community? Like, why?
It's a lot of issues. We probably could market better as an institution about what we're doing here. The stigma of junior college football in a lot of areas is a black eye. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Netflix documentary Last Chance U. They had 4 seasons of it.
I didn't dive into it completely, but probably an episode or so.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that it's good and bad. It's good because it shows you the level of competition that's here.
Yeah.
There's some big boys. A lot of NFL players went the junior college route. But the bad part is our program's nothing like that. We're a complete 180 from that. And the majority of junior college programs throughout the country are in very rural towns. So there are 1,200 student schools, enrollment driven, so they'll try to get a 200, 250-man roster because for the school to fund that sport, they need all those guys paying tuition. We don't have that problem. We're the only junior college that's in a metropolitan area. We got 25,000 students. So as far as the school goes and the community goes, we're kind of just a blip on their radar. So that's one of the reasons why it's not as known as it should be.
So what do you think could help with, like, just outside of marketing? Is there anything else that, like...
The special interest pieces. Some of the lives we're changing, some of the kids that have gone through the program and where they've ended up going, not just in my time as head coach, but my time in the program. I've been on staff for 10 years total, and I played there 23 years ago also. So I'm really invested in this program, and I know all the stories. I can't tell you any given year what our record is, but I can tell you who was on that team and where they went. And that's the important part. We've had kids that grew up bouncing around from foster homes, didn't have any structure. All the bad stories you hear about foster home kids, they lived it, and they're using football as a vehicle to pay for not only their undergrad, but their master's degrees. We get guys that, basically the only option they had to do out of high school is go to a trade school, roll the dice in our program and their NFL draft picks. Just some of the lives that we're changing is unbelievable. And I think with the community out here, if a lot of the taxpayers out here knew the actual individual stories, they'd probably change their perception of what they think they know about junior college football.
Yeah, I would agree with that. How would you say, like, what if you had to explain your coaching style? So with working with, because like within our business, like I'm in leadership, so you get different people, like you're mentioning different backgrounds. Like, how would you say your coaching style is? What do you think is the best approach dealing with so many different personalities or walks of life?
I think one of the things that's helped me the most in developing my own style is I played 13 years professional football in the Arena Football League, and towards the end of my career, I retired in 2019. I was closer in age to the coaches than I were to the players on the team, and my teammates were closer in age to the kids I'm coaching at COD. So I could relate with them, and I'm really big on people have roles. So as a coach, as a football coach, my role is to guide and mentor these kids. And I have offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. Their job is to construct the X and O's, the game plans, put it all together, teach the kids. We have academic support people, and they stay in their lane. And I tell the kids, you guys all have a role, whether you're the starter, the backup, or some guy that's a year away from even being able to contribute. You have a role. And to be good at, to move up in life, to move up in the business world, anywhere you go, you might not like your role, but you have to be successful at it. I've never seen anybody get promoted by being bad at their job. And I kind of live that. I didn't even start in high school, and I went to College of Dupage, got a scholarship, and played professionally. When I went to the College of Dupage, I was the lowest guy on the depth chart. And just because I showed up every day, I jumped ahead of people, and I was starting by the third game my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
And it just goes to show, as adults, there's days you don't want to wake up. There's days you want to lay in bed all day. But if you got bills to pay, everything like that, you got to get up and keep moving forward. And that's what we try to get to these kids is there's going to be hard days. We're going to try to prepare you for life, and you got to keep moving forward with all this stuff. And so, again, going into that, the big thing of it is everyone has their role, and that's what we kind of preach in the program. And so my leadership style is that. I'm here for the kids. If they got problems, they can come to me. The recruiting, all that stuff. I coach a position group, but my job is to be there for the kids. Other coaches, their job is to, not only be there for the kids, but implement whatever they have to do in their daily duties, and we all stay in our roles. And as long as everyone's doing that, I'm not going to micromanage anybody.
Yeah, so when you have people, so specifically I'm thinking of like backup players, right? Are there times or like situations where people maybe aren't bought into being backup player? How would you help them understand the importance of being a backup player and trying to lead them to eventually being a starter?
Good question. One thing about our program is we play the best players, and there are no favorites. So if somebody's mad at their playing time or not starting, get better, and we'll give you the tools to do it, but it's on you to get yourself game ready is what we call it. Once you get yourself game ready, it's on us coaches then to put you in situations to be successful. So this is not like high school football. This is not like NFL football where the starter is the starter and playing the whole game. We understand our role, and I think that's what's very good about my coaching staff and why we're as successful as we are getting kids moving on is we understand these kids. It wasn't their first choice to come here. No kid ever dreamed of playing junior college football growing up, but what we are is that platform for them to get where they dreamed of going. And to do that, they need film to leave. And so what we're going to do, as long as a kid does his part to get game ready, we're going to make sure they get in and they get that opportunity. I've never had a 4-year coach come in and want to offer a kid that rushed for 1,300 yards. They don't care about that. They want to see 2.5 minutes of film of that kid showing his skills and showing what he can do with the ball in his hand. And we preach that to the kids. Because of that, if you run the football 180 times a year as a running back, you're going to be pretty worn down by the end of the year. But if we hand the ball off 50 times to 5 different guys, that's plenty of carries to get 2.5 minutes of film, plus you're running fresh. And the proof's out there with that and what we're doing. We led the nation in rushing this last year by over 100 yards a game over the second place team. But we didn't have a single running back hit the leaderboard because none of them had the minimum amount of carries to reach that threshold. So I believe it was like 80 or 90 carries to hit the leaderboard. We had 5 guys that had between 44 and 60 carries. And if they would have hit that minimum threshold, we would have been number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 in the country in yards per carry.
Wow.
Now, looking at the other side of it, and I have some issues with some other programs, how they operate, and one of it, you get a kid with 160 carries and his backup only has 15. Well, what opportunities is that backup going to get recruited out? What about the backup's backup? What opportunities is he getting to get recruited out? We're a team in 2021. We were very successful running the ball too. We had 2 running backs go Division I. We've even in our program had 2 receivers from the same class not only go Division I on scholarships, but get drafted in the NFL. And that's because of the kids getting the opportunities and making sure that when a kid does his part to get game ready, that's studying the playbook, working hard in the offseason, get bigger, stronger, faster, and make sure he's not a liability when he gets in there, that we get the kid opportunities and we put him in spots to be successful.
I don't know if you watch basketball, but it reminds me of the women's basketball game. LSU versus Iowa. Jasmine didn't see any playing time, and she won the game for LSU.
Yeah.
And she got put in because I think it was, 3 or 4 of their starting players were on the bench within the first half for fouls, and she got put in and completely changed the game. So backups are so important, and giving people playing time is important too. Do you guys do a lot of recruiting, or do people come to you because of how it works with D1 people or trying to get scholarships?
Yep, it's both. It's a two-way street. So we almost put on a national campaign for our guys. We make our own graphics. We send out what we call a prospect sheet. So any kid that's available to leave after that next semester, we put them on a prospect sheet. It's broken down by position, has all their measurables, the links to their film, and we send it out to every school from Division I down to Division III. And then throughout the season, we'll break it up. We'll take the receivers and send it to every receiver coach in the country, quarterbacks, vice versa. And then, when a kid's on his last year eligibility with us, we'll have one-on-one meetings with them, and we'll ask them, okay, here's the level we see you playing at. Why don't you give us some realistic schools that you would like us to reach out to on your behalf? And I say realistic because every kid's going to come up to me and say, Alabama. Well, Nick Saban's not going to answer my call, and to be honest, I don't think we have a kid that's good enough to play at Alabama. So once we get the realistic list, we'll reach out on that kid's behalf, and even if the school says no, at least we know not to put any more effort into that school for that kid. And it's like sales, it's got to be a want and a need for that kid and his skill set. And a lot of the kids that we have a lot of success with, they play at schools that might only have 5 Division I schools that come through their building at that school. Now, they didn't get a Division I offer. That doesn't mean they're a Division I football player. That just means the 5 schools that have eyes on their high school didn't have a spot for them or a need for them at their spot. And so we try to do our best as a coaching staff to make sure all the eyes are on these kids on a national platform. And then my coaching staff, with my professional experience, I got some other coaches that have played Division I football, coach that played in the NFL, another coach that's coached at Division I schools. So I went to college in Hastings College, which is dead center in the state.
Yeah, Hastings.
Yeah.
I didn't drive all the way out there, but I spent all my time in Lincoln and a little bit of time in Omaha.
Okay. I played 3 years for the Omaha Beef in arena football.
Okay.
So I lived out there for 3 of my seasons.
Let's go.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it out there.
I met some of the alumni Huskers at a cigar lounge that I was a member at, and one that was like currently active. Some of them I still talk to, and different things like that played out for the Huskers. So they definitely love their football out there.
There's a former Husker that lives. He's one of their star players. Lives right down the street from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Westerkamp. So he's out here as a chiropractor now.
Okay, that's sweet. That's sweet.
We had Shazier on your podcast.
Yes.
The former Steeler?
Yeah, former Steeler, Ryan Shazier.
He's got a great story.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
he's got a phenomenal story. So he's loosely partnered with my partner's main entity.
Okay.
So he's out in Pittsburgh, so they do some work together.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
What NFL teams did people out of College of DuPage get drafted to? Where are they playing at?
49ers. In 2016, we had a guy drafted to 49ers, one drafted to the Raiders. So Johnny Holton, who's drafted by the Raiders, is in the NFL record book for a 99-yard touchdown reception.
Wow.
There's probably like 15 guys that have done it in the history of the NFL, but he's one of them. That same year, we had Mike Thomas. I think he's drafted by the Bengals. No, not the Bengals. I can't remember who he's drafted by, but played for the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He had a catch 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. We've had guys play for the Vikings.
That's probably so cool to see, like watching them go on to the NFL.
Living the dream.
Knowing that you were a part of it.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
nothing's better. Like, I have a young child now, so he'll be 3 in June. So now I finally, understand what it is to have your own kid. But before that, like, these kids were my kids, and I felt like I was able to do some great things with football. But seeing the kids that I helped develop go farther than me is a really rewarding feeling, and seeing them live their dreams is one of the reasons why, even on the hard days, it's so easy to get up in the morning because you're making an impact in people's lives.
Yeah. Do you got your 3-year-old throwing the football yet?
Yes and no. He likes to play fumble, so he wants me to fight with him with the ball on the ground. I just got him wearing a baseball glove for the first time the other day, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. What position did you play for baseball?
I was a third base and catcher.
Okay.
So that was my my number one sport growing up. And I was going to play both sports at the College of DuPage when I went there. And they told me I could. And I had a very successful freshman fall. So I'm like, all right, well, here's springtime for baseball. And they're like, you got to pick one or the other.
Oh.
Yeah, so I stuck with football.
Yeah. Were you better at football or better at baseball, do you think?
I was better at baseball, but I grew more into football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's football to me is a little more exciting because similar with softball, I was better at softball, but it was a little slower. It wasn't as fast as some of the other sports.
Yep.
But that's amazing. Do you have any siblings that played sports or?
I have an older brother. He played up until high school and then stopped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you coached anyone that you know outside? Or you weren't from this area?
I am from the area. I'm from Wheaton. My parents still live in the house I grew up at, and I live in Lombard now, about 10 minutes away from them. So.
Okay. Have you? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Have you coached anybody that you knew, or everyone into the program is people that?
Yeah, all the time now, and I really feel my age when guys that I played with or my friends growing up like, hey, can you take a look at my son? You know, do you think you got a spot for him? So that makes me feel old. But yeah, I get kids that I knew their parents or grew up with their parents, stuff like that. You know, coming in the program every now and then.
My question was dumb. Dumber. You said Wheaton, and I've been thinking about. I got a Traeger grill.
Okay.
And I keep seeing like ads for like Wheaton meat
market.
Meat market. Is that place any good?
I would suggest Mike's in Villa Park.
Mike's
Meat Market. Yeah, that's where everyone goes that I know.
Yeah, gets good cuts of meat and everything.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know if you're a vegetarian. I didn't.
I mean, you could take one look at me and know I'm not.
He's probably not a vegetarian, unless he's one of those genetically blessed individual vegetarians. So, go ahead continue with your. I'm more of a personal question.
No, go for it. Go for it. I feel like I was hammering you a little bit with the coaching questions, so it'd probably be good for you to break it up a little.
Yeah, I get. So I'm just curious. You know, where were you? You know, born and raised in Wheaton.
Yep.
Parents, where are they from?
So my dad grew up in the city. My mom grew up in Wakanda, which is northwest, pretty far out, maybe about an hour and a half from here. And they met on a blind date in college.
So we're not talking about Marvel, right? Did you say Wakanda?
Wakanda, yeah.
Okay. I thought you were fucking with me. I was like, is he messing with me right now? Okay. Okay, so Wakanda's in Illinois.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So they met on a blind date.
Met on a blind date in college. I think my dad was on his second stint of college. You know, it took him a couple tries.
Yeah.
My mom was a freshman.
Yeah.
I think he probably just liked the idea of somebody cooking for him and doing his laundry, and then here they are.
As I get older, that just starts
later.
sounding better and better.
I tell you. Yeah.
So 45 years, they're still together. Congrats,
Yeah,
congrats.
thank
Man, I watch a lot of podcasts, and I'm not real savvy to news or different things like that. But there's some podcasts and some individuals that I do trust, and the statistics of individuals that stay married nowadays, it's discerning. You know what I mean? So when I hear of individuals that's taken out, it's another good area to kind of research of like. You know, because I would measure that as success. You know what I mean? Of staying committed to one individual and building a long-term successful family, opposed to, you know, I grew up in a broken household. So, you know, that's definitely something that I, you know, admire and aspire to have one day for myself. So, shout out to your parents leading the way and still holding it down.
Yeah, my dad's a very understanding man.
Yes, I hear that's the key.
Yeah,
I hear that's a huge key.
I used to make fun of my dad all the time growing up. Like, Dad, why don't you ever put your foot down? You know, you let Mom make all the decisions. And now I look at myself and I'm like, I'm the same exact guy as him.
Yeah.
I make 10,000 decisions at work, and I go home and don't
none.
make one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the decisions I do make, I ask what she likes first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Man, so you're growing up. What was that early stages of life like? You know what I mean? What can you remember back to like elementary days and middle school days? What was forming you into the man you are today?
Sports structure. You know, football kind of, you know, sports in general guided my life.
Yeah.
And everyone has something different. Everyone that's successful has something different that kind of shaped them and guided them. You know, some people have religion. Some people have their family that do it for them.
Your religion was the gridiron.
Yep. And you know, I stayed out of trouble as a kid because I was always afraid of not being able to play sports. In college, I was a pretty bad student. I always stayed eligible because I didn't know what I was going to do if I didn't play sports.
Yeah.
You know, I always had it in my head that if I somehow football was taken away from me, I'd join the military. But, you know, I'd rather play sports. And then, you know, even after it, I graduated from college and I got a year in the working world where I was working as a warehouse manager in a plumbing field. And I'm like, what am I doing? I went to an arena football game. I'm like, those guys are living their dream right now, having the time of their life. And you're not making it rich in the arena football league. You're
it's
playing.
Fun though.
Oh, it
looks
time.
like the funnest football
great
ever.
Time. Yeah. Well, everyone asked me why I played so long.
Yeah.
And well, honestly, therapy's expensive.
Yeah.
So, but for me, you know, football is like a drug, especially towards the end. Like I got a high off it.
Yeah.
And even, you know, when I'm in my mid 30s, playing against guys that are just out the NFL or guys in their mid or early 20s, and I wake up the morning after a game and I can't move, I feel alive. Like,
Yeah.
And I always loved it. I miss it now,
Yeah.
but not with all the pains I have.
Yeah.
You know, I can get through without playing it. But
Yeah.
coaching is the perfect segue into keeping a part of the game, keeping that feeling of that the endorphins I got from football.
Yeah.
And now seeing guys that I'm mentoring and pushing and trying to get the best out of, you know, using it to shape their lives.
Were there any life-altering events that occurred in your childhood growing up that kind of made you, you know, who you are today?
I would say my parents. You know, it's not a life-altering event, but I was very blessed. And my best friend growing up, his parents are still together. They've been married 40-something years, but that's not the case for everyone around us growing up. So I always knew how lucky I was. I always knew that if I failed, I could still go home. My parents still love me, and my parents would still help me get back on track. So because of that, I never was fearful of taking that leap in doing things. And you know, I hope to be able to be that structure for my son, the way my parents were for him, because a lot of the stuff I've been able to do was because of the support of my parents, the examples they set, and everything like that.
That's fire. That's fire.
What did your parents do for a living?
So my dad's a salesman, traveled all the time. It's not going to sound glamorous. He was a cup salesman. All right. So, you know, when you go to the gas station, they got the styrofoam cups or the styrofoam to-go containers. That was him, and he was a district manager, so he's in charge of like 3 or 4 states.
Yeah.
What it was always traveling, and something that I'll never forget was his dad worked overnights. His dad was a football official, a baseball umpire, and then worked overnights at Western Electric in the city. And he was never at any of my dad's games, and that bothered my dad. My dad always, you know, said to himself, you know, if I have kids, I'm never going to miss their games. There would be times where I wouldn't see my dad for 2-3 days because he'd be out of town traveling, and I'd get to my baseball game, and right as the game started, and I see him walking in 90-degree heat in the summer in a business suit, just coming back from the airport.
Yeah.
Just making sure that he was able to watch my games and support me.
How much does that mean to you?
Tons.
Yeah.
Tons. You know, it goes back to I was never afraid to fail because of him. I knew he'd always support me. And, you know, one thing I also did is I was an ambassador to American football in Brazil. And so I lived out there, and I was able to...
You speak some Portuguese?
Pouco. Pouquinho Portuguese.
Yeah.
Enough to order food and get around.
Let's go.
Yeah. But, you know, when I was out there, I went out there kind of just looking to coach and play a little bit in my off seasons for Marina football. But me and the other American that brought me out there, one of my college teammates, we were able to change some lives to help some high school age Brazilian kids come to the United States and get their education paid for.
Yeah.
And really change some lives. And the only reason I was over there, and you know, I went over there, I was in my late 20s, and you know, even my buddy's like, why are you still messing around with football?
Yeah.
You know, why don't you, you know, get into the working world? And my dad always tell me, if you still love it, go do it. And because of that, I went over there and changed some lives.
Yeah.
And then doing that, you know, once I got done with the Brazil stuff, I stepped right into coaching back at COD. And I knew once I got back there, you know, I want to be the head coach. So when the coach I was coaching for there, you know, my mentor, when he retired, I knew I wanted to take that job over because that place means so much to me. But yeah, it's you know, having that support of my father really guided me, and you know, not being afraid to fail, and you know, when a lot of people are questioning why I'm doing it, he's saying, well, keep doing it. Working sucks. Keep playing football.
Yeah.
That's so
That's
powerful. I think of like growing up, my dad always told me, he always said, you only need one person to believe in you, and that person's going to be me. And he would say the same thing for sports. So when I was younger, my brother's a year older, and my dad raised us, so he couldn't be in all places at once. So like I couldn't really be doing my sports. My brother couldn't be doing his sports at the same time, so we played on the same teams. Well, my brother couldn't play on the girls' team, so I played on the guys teams with him, like t-ball, soccer, basketball, growing up. And I remember my dad, like, ever since a very young age, just being like, you can do anything guys can do. Like, I believe in you. You know, you need one person to believe in you. And that carried me, like, to this day, still carries me through life and through a lot of situations. And I think, like, all of these young people coming in that we work with, where it's like, man, like, you're, for your football players, you know, the one person that who knows their background. You might be the one person in their life that, you believe in them. I know we are definitely some people, like we're people in other people's lives where we just believe in them. It's crazy how many people don't have one person that believes in them.
It's nuts, yeah. We have it all the time, guys that, well, I mean, especially having a diverse team, a lot of guys on my team, me or another guy on the coach staff is the first, Caucasian male that they've ever been able to trust and listen to and believe in. And I tell you what, showing somebody love and showing someone that you care, you can say anything to them to get the best out of them. Yeah. And you got to establish that relationship first. I tell my kids all the time, listen to the message, not the volume. And I also tell them some of the meanest stuff ever said to me were by people that love me the most and got the best out of me. Yeah. And don't forget that. And because of that, you set that relationship up where the kid knows you care and love him, and you're trying to help him get the best version of himself. And you get angry about it, you can get angry. And they know it's coming from a good place. Yeah. As opposed to that relationship not being set up. Now you're just another male yelling at them. Yeah. And they tune it out, turns into white noise, and they end up walking away from it. And that's, I think, you see a lot of non-successful football programs, a lot of guys transferring, leaving programs. The coaches aren't doing a good enough job of setting that relationship up. Yeah.
Yep. I believe in that too. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Me and my friends tell each other that when we have to deal with each other.
I'm psycho, so I know. I'm nuts. I want the job done, and I definitely don't always have the best delivery. So relationships are vitally important to business, sports, and all of that. And I wish I knew that at a younger age. I got into leadership very young in this company, and I can definitely think of mistakes where I've lost of guys have transferred to other agencies. It's just like I think of sports and everything. It's all the same. You know what I mean? It's all the same. Life is so they're so cyclical.
Managing people.
It's so you know what I mean. Really managing relationships. You know what I mean. So it's like it's good. It's why I got to read. You know what I mean? You see all the books in here. It's like I gotta get better. You know what I mean? So this is fire. What else you got? Anything?
No.
I got a couple more. So out of curiosity, just as we jump around different topics and things like that, I get curious about hobbies outside of coaching and things like that. What makes you? What makes you?
Well, you guys are gonna laugh at me, but I want to say right when I got back from Brazil, I got my blew the dust off my old baseball card collection from when I was a kid.
People are making some good money with that.
But that's the problem. They are.
Yeah.
Not me.
Okay.
I like the stuff too much. I buy it and I don't sell it.
Yeah.
I really enjoy collecting it, and you collect your favorite players, all that stuff, and you get the pull a card out of a pack. It's gambling, basically.
Yeah.
Pull out a card out of a pack that's worth a lot of money. The smart people sell it, and then I sit there and hold on to it.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't seen baseball cards in so long.
Yeah.
It's probably been like over 10 years since I've seen a baseball card.
Yeah.
My wallet wishes I didn't see him for 10 years still.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Is there any other hobbies?
I'm big into sports. Outside of, I'm not a fan of soccer.
Yeah.
But I can watch it.
Yeah.
If something's competitive.
I think the World Cup's here 2026.
Yeah, I think
it is. I only watch soccer when the World Cup's on and America's playing.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't do soccer.
Yeah. So I mean, my wife really gets frustrated with me because whenever there's sports on, that's what I want to watch.
Yeah.
I don't really want to watch, the baking cook-off shows.
Yeah.
I want to put on a competition of sports.
Yes.
But yeah, I can watch any sports. I love just relaxing. But, becoming a father, you want to hang out with your kid and you want to wrestle with him and do all that stuff. So I really enjoy spending time with him.
That's hilarious.
Are you a Bears fan? Or
Packers.
Packers. Go Chiefs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Bears rival. What other sports teams do you like? Do you watch basketball?
I was a big Bull fan with the Jordan era. Actually, my first tattoo that's now covered up was number 91 on my arm. That was my football number because of Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. Let's go. Did you ever have any crazy hairstyles?
No. Been dealing with this since 1995, this exact style.
Yeah?
Yeah. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, let's go.
Like my Galaxy S7 phone that I'm still using.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go. I always get curious, and maybe you don't because half the people I ask don't. Do you have a favorite movie?
Yes. The Natural.
The Natural.
I guarantee you've never seen it. So it's Robert Redford when he was a young man.
Look it up.
And it's a baseball movie about a guy growing up on a farm, and had some things happen in life and gets his opportunity late in life and becomes a hero.
Yeah, man.
That sounds interesting. I haven't seen it.
It's got 83% Rotten Tomatoes.
That's a pretty good reading.
That's
good for
good enough for me.
That's good for a movie that came out
in 1984
before the internet.
Yeah.
Oh, 1984
Yeah.
is when it came out?
Yeah. That's solid. You got a favorite restaurant, Chicago, or just in general? You got a favorite food place?
Pizza.
Pizza?
Pizza, yeah. I don't, outside of the chain stores like Sarpino's and Papa John's, I don't really mess with those places, but I can go anywhere and enjoy pizza.
Is there an in particular place that's like, that's the best pizza I've had in Chicago?
Gianorio's in Lombard.
Gianorio's.
Best thin crust, yeah.
Yeah?
It's right
love
off
thin
Main
crust.
Street.
Gianorio's. Not
you,
to be confused with Giordano's, right?
Correct. Giordano's is the best deep dish, though.
Yeah, I like the deep dish, but I think I ate so much of it when I first got here
Oh, yeah.
that I deep dished myself out of
Yeah,
deep dish.
it goes like a brick in you, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I've never been a fan of deep dish. Are you an Aurelio's fan? Do you like Aurelio's?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that like in comparison? Is it kind of like a sweeter sauce or?
I don't know how to describe their sauce. It's a homemade family recipe sauce.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to. I'm a big guy. You can't get me going off food. I'll be here for 3 hours. But very similar to Mama Maria's in Elmhurst. It's their family recipe
either.
sauce. Phenomenal.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just DoorDash
we
everything.
must not know all the good places. In
Yeah,
the
I
area.
DoorDash. I get everybody's advice and opinions, then I collect them, put them on my notes, and then I get just overwhelmed by all the options, and I don't do anything.
I grew up in Kankakee, so the nicest restaurant we had was Olive Garden. So I feel like you
They just
stick
built
to
one
the
over here.
I know they
Yeah.
have one down the street, but
Yeah, they just built
it
another
was
one.
hidden in kind of a weird spot.
I'll tell you guys this about food. When you're trying to find new places, family recipe. If that's in the description, that's a place you want to go. And wood-fired grill, stay away from them. Wood-fired grill, they just try to fancy up just regular
Yeah.
food.
Yeah,
They slap $5 more per meal on it, and
Yeah.
you're not ever impressed with it.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
The family recipe, you got to go with that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is definitely a good go-to. I can't think of anything else. Fire podcast, got about an hour in.
Yeah, is there
So,
anything else that you
yeah.
wanted to add or anything else?
No, I mean, like I said, my hope from this, and I know, we'll speak in the future about some of my players that have some interesting stories that can come talk to you guys if you want to, but
Yeah, let's
just
do.
getting the word out and getting the stigma of junior college football from people who think they know about it kind of thrown out the window so they know about our program, and then to kind of educate people about what it is. It's not just a football program for somebody to come for 2 years. So
Yeah.
one of the problems is a lot of the local high school coaches that aren't familiar with what we do, they think junior college is only for kids that just mess up academically, or a guy that didn't play for them. Like I get a lot of coaches that will call me up and they'll be like, "Hey, I got a kid that needs junior college." I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me a little about him." Yeah, he's got like a 1.5 GPA, and he didn't really play for us either, so he needs JUCO. I'm like, well, we got a 120-man roster and everyone's handpicked, so I wish the kid the best of luck, but I mean, he's going to waste his time here, and that's another thing. I'm going down a bad hole if I bring kids in the program that aren't going to have a good experience.
Yeah,
So whether they're going to be a starter for us, or a rotational guy, or if they're just going to ride the bench, and I could see that from their film, I can't have them in the program
yeah,
because they're not going to have a good experience. And I got to make sure that from the best player on my roster down to the worst, that they're getting the same love and development, the same, and we're not wasting our time with anybody.
yeah.
So
Can't have a good pizza without good ingredients.
that's right.
Yeah.
Family recipe.
Family recipe.
Family recipe.
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
we're trying to get better at, is right in the hiring process. It's making sure, trying to identify those individuals with the right internal traits so they can correspond into sales. And obviously, if they have a good experience, it'll be good for the overall organization and what they represent here. And then obviously, everybody that you have wearing your jersey is a referral generator or the exact opposite. So
Yeah, make sure you got and I hate the term dangle the carrot over their head,
yeah,
but make sure that they're stepping forward, because no matter what it is in life, if somebody feels like they're making progress, they're going to stick with it.
yes,
And
yes.
I think the problem with today's generation, and it's the tablet, the internet generation,
Yes.
is everyone wants instant gratification.
Instant.
And even my generation wasn't. We're starting to get out of the old generation of,
Yeah.
if you want something, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
And I think, the further we go, the younger the kids are, we're getting away from that. So
Absolutely.
you got to show them that they're making progress early on
Yeah.
to keep them going in that path.
1,000%. Awesome. Well, another episode of Adversity Kings, co-host Savannah Schipman, and then how do we say your name again?
Matthew Rahn.
Matthew Rahn.
Yep.
Let's go. And Matt Rahn, I was Coach Matt Rahn down at College of Dupage. Make sure you guys check them out. Got a phenomenal program. Are people able to like DM and send film to you via DM and things like that?
Twitter at FBCoach_Ron, RAHN.
Huddle was right by my office in Lincoln. I remember.
Oh, yeah, it's their
Yeah.
it's a big revenue for that state.
Yeah, they got an HQ right out there. So this was awesome. Thank you again, Coach Ron. So
Thanks
you guys
for
have a
having
blessed
me.
day. Thanks, Sav. Thanks, Aaliyah. And let's go.